Arizona Coyotes officially have their first ever win at Mullett Arena. Hopefully the first of many, but not this year. Thank you so much for tuning in to the PHNX Coyotes postgame show, brought to you by the one and only DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Leah Merrill here with Steve Peters. We are unintentionally matching this evening.
Yep.
Just thought I'd throw that out at the beginning to get the awkwardness over with for that one, Petey.
I know.
But Petey, a victory against the Florida Panthers on a Tuesday night.
This is their third win of the season now. They just jumped over San Jose, Columbus, Vancouver, St. Louis, tied with Nashville, and 2 points behind defending Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche. What's going on? Are we going to start talking playoffs pretty soon? A couple more wins. We're going to start looking at playoff brackets. Good grief. I don't know. They look good tonight. Well, you got to give a lot. Tip your hat to
forget about
Karel
the first
Vejmelka.
10 minutes of the second period, but
but unbelievable. Like,
I know.
Just wow. Win at Mullett. Didn't see this coming against Florida.
No, when I looked at the 4-game homestand, I thought we talked about this. Do they get a win on this 4-game homestand? And we all said probably yes, but this was not the game that I would have picked out for it. But I'm not complaining. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Beat the great teams all you want. Just lose against the Anaheims and the San Jose's and the Chicagos. But we'll take a big W against the Florida Panthers. And, no matter how they get it done, although the power play stays hot, and that was proven. Goodness. Again tonight. It is late. This is the latest. Well, just kidding.
It is.
We're used to these 4:00 starts, not these 7:00 starts. But needless to say, let's look at tonight by the numbers because it paints a full picture of what exactly went down tonight. And that is that the Coyotes were 50% on the power play tonight. They came into this game third in the NHL with the third best power play in the National Hockey League of 32 teams. Third best. And they were 50% again tonight, 30% on the season. I don't know how tonight factors into those numbers. But just absolutely unbelievable. And once again, being outshot 2-1 by the Florida Panthers, who had 42 to the Coyotes' 21 shots on net. Florida was unsuccessful on their power play, but this one stat line we wanted to include tonight, shot attempts is that bottom line there. Florida, 82, Arizona, 43. So this was definitely tilted toward Florida, but the Coyotes found a way.
I want to start with the power play because we talked about third best coming in and clearly getting 2 out of 4. They're going to move up. I don't know if they'll move up over Edmonton or not. My math isn't that good, but they're ahead of the Boston Bruins that have Pastrnak, Marchand, Bergeron, and they're ahead of the New York Rangers power play that we just saw the other day that we were like, oh my gosh. That
freaked us out, yeah.
The Arizona Coyotes with JJ Mosier as the quarterback on the top are in the top 3. Not the Toronto Maple Leafs with Marner and Matthews. Ritchie, Mosier, Gostisbehere, and Boyd. That's your number 3 power play in the National Hockey League right now. It's unreal. 2 out of 4 on the power play, and you look at that first one by Crouse. And when things are going well, they're going well. I mean, Michelli's trying to either get it down to Guenther down low on the back door. He's trying to shoot on net. I can't tell which, but he's sure as hell not trying to pass it to his left to Crouse. And it bounces off a stick. I don't know if it goes off the toe, but it ends up on Krause's tape. Unbelievable. And
it almost looked like a no-look pass, but I don't think that's what he was trying to do.
Exactly.
But it looked like it,
and that's when things are going well.
Yeah.
Like you're getting the little bit of luck too. And that's what you need to play well. You need to defend well, and you need a little bit of luck. And right now, this Coyote power play, honestly, I don't know if you can say enough. They get the two goals on the power play. And Clayton Keller with his empty netter jumps over and takes the team lead in points tonight with 9. There were some positives again, and we've said it all along. Let's find some positives in the game. And clearly, let's start with Vejmelka. That's 2 games that he's put together now. We talked about his consistency. That's 2 games now at the Mullett that he's played exceptionally well. And that's 3 good games by the goaltenders at the Mullett overall, if you throw in the game by Ingram. So that's positive number 1. The power play is positive number 2. I don't know. Guenther rings one off the post again.
Gets another assist tonight, and we'll talk more about Dylan Guenther when Craig gets here. But you're right, Petey. This this homestand at Mullett has been a different level of play from the Coyotes. The first 6 games on the road, except for the Leafs and Columbus game, you could have woken up in the morning and written down 6-2 on a napkin, and that would have been the score. And now it's, completely changed around. They lost by 1 goal the first 2 games at Mullett, and then you saw this performance tonight. It was a close game till the very end. The empty net goal put that cushion in, but
Uh-oh. Is that me, Leah? Did I lose Leah? Uh-oh. DP, are you still there? Why don't you jump in? We lost Leah.
Yeah.
We'll go on a tangent then. And Leah brought up a good point, because it was 6-2, 6-2, 6-2 for the first, 4 of the first 5 on the road. And now you're looking at 3-2, 3-2 losses, one of those in overtime. And they held Florida, like, even with all the shots that Florida had, to hold them off the score sheet is absolutely fantastic. And a little bit of a testament to their defending. And I know I'm really harsh on their defending, and I pick on them, and I'm hard on the way they defend in front of the net. But they were much better today. And we talked about turnovers. That didn't happen. I think that, is it me or the stream? It's you. And we're still working. That's okay, Leah. Take the rest of the night off. But that's the difference tonight. Karel Vejmelka and the power play. And those 2 things make all the difference for the Coyotes tonight. Sean, what do we do now?
I don't really know.
Yeah, do we start reading ads? Can we start reading ads? No, we're not. We're gonna start reading ads.
I don't even have.
Let's go to the keys.
Up or anything. Yeah, why not? Yeah, that makes sense. Seeing as how you're the only one here, we might as well get your keys out of the way. Petey's keys.
Yeah, we talk about turnovers for this team all the time, and even if you look at the first goal against, the Coyotes had that puck on their stick twice. Guenther has it, and he brings it back into the zone, and Nemeth brings it back and turns that puck over. Turnovers have been a struggle for this team since the first game of the year. Fortunately for tonight, they didn't do it between the blue lines, and that's where Florida just thrives on their speed transition game. And I tell you what, the Coyotes were pretty solid there. Florida, the second one, Veggie, Florida's second on shots, and we saw that he was going to have a busy night. Veggie was lights out. No diving bad pinches. If you saw my tweet earlier today, we talked about when the defenseman can pinch off of the blue line in the offensive zone and when they need to stay put. Honestly, they didn't get in trouble today, and they didn't have a problem with the odd man rushes that Florida is so traditionally known for, and their speed and the tradition and transition game didn't really get going against the Coyotes today. So I got to give them check marks on all 3 of these, and then added the 4th in with the power play. So good on the Yotes, and for their 3rd win already this season. And you know how long it took them to get 3 wins last year, Sean?
I do not.
It was a lot long. It was 18 games before they got their 3rd win. Well, there's Leah. They took the street racing break.
So my Wi-Fi just went out.
Uh-oh. Are you on your phone?
I'm on my phone's data, so we'll see how this does. But apologies. We will power through.
We just finished the keys, Leah. So we checked off the keys to the game, and we're just about to wrap up the show.
Great. Thanks.
That's it.
Read all
Thanks
the
everybody
ads?
For tuning in.
Well, I think when I left, we were talking about Vejmelka. You obviously got to the keys. Did we get to the king, Petey? But I don't want to ruin the flow of whatever's going on.
I did not. I just wanted to talk about how things have the tide has turned in Mullett from the 6-2 beatings to the, hey, we're hanging in these games. And we talked about the speed of the Mullett ice, and we said, oh my goodness, look at who's coming in. The New York Rangers, the Florida Panthers, very, very fast teams. And I tell you what, I didn't see Florida skate the barn doors off the Coyotes today. I just didn't see it. I mean, they were better in front of the net. They clearly had more shot attempts, and they had some really good chances down the close in the 3rd period. But I wouldn't say wow, look at that speed. Look at the odd man rushes. I didn't see that. I thought the Coyotes skated with them, and that's a really good sign that they're able to skate with these faster teams in the league. As this season gets longer and wears on, you're going to want them to be able to keep up on the ice with these teams, because this league is just getting faster and faster.
And I think that's just all we want to see, because yes, it's hard to say we want this team to be very bad, but it is what we understand to be the goal for this year. But you want them to be bad while also being good. And I know that doesn't really make sense, but you want them to lose out to land Bedard or Fantilli, but you want them to improve from last year. And obviously a bunch of pieces from last year's team are gone. But these young players, the Mosers, the Michellis, even Crouse and Keller, Hayton, he's been kind of quiet, but he had some unbelievable shots on the power play tonight. You could tell he wanted one so badly. You want to see those guys take steps forward so that when the time is right for this team to get better, they have been progressing this entire time.
I agree. And we talk about the young guys. I thought Michelli is taking a step forward. Guenther, I tell you what, we talked about the goal against where he brings the puck back into the zone. That's a mistake he's going to learn from. He's going to get that puck off the glass or he's going to move forward. Don't bring it back into your zone because then you got to beat the same players you just beat and beat them again. So not an uncommon thing for a young player, but Mosier is young and he's taking a step forward. And you see, and you go, gosh, maybe this is going in the right direction. So you really want to see these positive steps going forward. And you just hope that somehow the ping pong balls fall in their favor and they get Fantilli or Bedard. And then you know what, next year at this time, 10 games in, you're going, gosh, maybe this team's 5-5. Maybe they're 6-4. Maybe you're going, gosh, they're scoring at a pace that they haven't scored at in years. And it's exciting and we're moving forward. We're doing better than we were a year ago, Leah. We look at last year, there wasn't a regulation win yet at this point. There
wasn't a power play goal yet, Petey. You pointed out the other day.
Yeah, and so you're doing better, and that's all you can ask for is these little baby steps while you develop and bake and get ready and get through this rebuild. And so, honestly, today's is a big positive for me that you're skating with these teams that are considered the premier teams in the league, and right now 2 of the best teams in the East, and you're skating with them, and not only skating with them, you just beat the Florida Panthers. I think this is. It's way too early to let's put the optimistic bow on this season. It's a little early, but things are going good. And this is something that the players can build on. And you're coming up to a Dallas team that's playing well and behind former Coyote goalie Scotty Wedgwood, because Ottinger's out right now. So Wedgie's taken over the lead while they wait for Ottinger to come back from injury.
And we will talk about that again more when Craig gets here. So stay tuned for that.
Throwing out those tidbits, Leah.
Love it. But someone who will be here for the next few years is Lawson Crouse, who is a friend of the show, someone that we see in a leadership position for this team and somebody who had a monster night tonight, obviously got that first power play goal. But not only that, he just seemed to be involved in every play. And that is why Lawson Crouse is tonight's DraftKings King of the Game. 1 goal, 2 shots, 3 hits, 2 blocks. Lawson Crouse was everywhere tonight.
Yeah, and you know what? He did it physically. He did it around the blue paint again, and I thought, well-deserved. But now he's got his 4th goal of the season. He's tied for the lead in goals with Nick Ritchie. And I tell you what, he sat in the chair and talked to us and said he's putting up 30. And I don't see any reason that he can't. He's got 4 after 9. I think his offense is only coming. And I think he's getting better each game. He's being a little more physically involved in each game. On that second power play unit, he's going to get some more scoring opportunities. So I expect for his offensive upside to continue to grow. And so great start for Lawson Crouse to this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know Veggie really made a case for himself there at the end of the game. I know we've already given him some flowers, but we have to acknowledge that he had 41 saves on 42 shots of goal tonight. That is just absolutely unbelievable. So Veggie definitely made a case for himself, but based on the way things have been going with these 2 goalies, which I'd never thought I'd hear myself saying this, I expect Veggie will easily be king again sometime soon because, I mean, if Veggie and Ingram play at the rate they've been playing these last couple of games, this could be a much more palatable season for us as fans to watch this Coyotes team.
But isn't that what happened at the start of last season, though, Leah? If you look at what the struggles were early, it was the goaltending. Carter Hutton started off on the wrong foot, and then even Veggie came in and struggled off the starting gate. This year's much different. I mean, you saw they got over the 6 goals through the first 5, and now it's like, okay, they locked it down. And Ingram, we gave him a free pass on game 1. He just traveled from all those, from Europe, and he had just traveled from getting picked up on waivers. So we gave him a free pass. And since then, he's looked solid. I think he gives you the confidence. And tell you what, Veggie just doesn't give up on a puck. He competes and he battles and he doesn't give up on anything. And I think you saw that tonight. That was very apparent. A couple got by him and hit the post. Doesn't rattle him. He just continues to keep moving forward. If this team gets goaltending like this, one, they're going to stay in a lot of games. And two, we talked about what that does to your confidence. Like we said last year, they were just defeated. They were down 3, 4, 5 goals after the first period, and they're out of it. Now the team can go, hey, our goaltending's going to keep saying this. We just got to hang around. And I think that really puts a positive spin on things. And we talked about how losing is contagious. Well, winning and competing is also. And I think that this team is starting to feel that. So this was a huge win. But, it's great when getting the win in Mullett. But I think they're starting to feel it a little bit, getting a little more confidence in their game.
Definitely. And if you've been betting on the Coyotes this week, I hope you've been betting the puck line. They've been covering the puck line all week long. And if you bet the money line tonight, you would have won some money like Sean did tonight, if you've been here all season, that punch card VooDoo, which we'll get to in a little bit. Sean literally texted us that he bet the Coyotes just because of the punch card pattern. And you know what? It was right. And Sean won some money on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. So if you want to follow the punch card pattern or bet on hockey or basketball or football or the World Series, any of it, you can do so on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And right now, new customers can make any $5 NBA moneyline bet and get $200 if your team wins. You can also boost your winnings up to 100% with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. It's simple. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook. Use promo code PHNX. That's promo code PHNX on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And, while we're in this uplifting mood right now, Petey, I have some very exciting news for this show.
All right.
I hope you're ready because I am specifically excited about this for you. Drum roll.
Oh, boy.
We have a new partner on this show, and that's OGs. Let's go.
Geez.
OGs.
Oh my.
Breaking news. OGs has agreed to a new deal with PHNX. Terms of the agreement weren't released at the time of the agreement, but sources close to the two sides say we're immensely excited and looking forward to creating more great content between the brands. We can't wait. We've been dying to have OGs a partner on our show, and I know it will greatly benefit all of us here who have to watch this Coyotes team all season long.
There is a rumor that they have some anti-anxiety. They can help with some stress relief.
And they may be sponsoring some segments on the show going forward. So stay tuned for more.
Stay tuned.
Literally stay tuned. And if you're interested in trying out some OGs, you can find them at your local dispensary. You must be 21 and over to enjoy.
I would say JMT22 just said he was hoping for Manscaped. I do have a feeling there may be some PD reads in the future to OGs. Just saying.
I think so too. Are you gonna put your own spin on them? Like
I think there will be some writer's embellishment to the OGs.
Let's go.
It's coming. Let's go.
LFG. Pat O in the comments said trade Veggie, keep the tank intact. I don't think Veggie is not, no offense to Veggie, I don't think he's gonna sustain 41 saves on 42 shots all season long.
Well, and not only that, and hey, get the wins where you can, because if you look at the schedule, we will look at the upcoming schedule soon, I know, but they have 14 road games, and we're talking this is 14 road games in a row. I never have seen that many games for the Arizona Coyotes. 14 road games, and we're talking some tough games. They got Buffalo, the Wagon on there. They got the Caps, the Rangers on the road, Vegas on the road, like Minnesota on the. There's some really tough teams. Carolina on the road. This team is going to get their losses. There is absolutely no doubt about it, because I know they're going to stop at home a few times on this trip, but this trip is going to be defining for this team. This is going to be so difficult emotionally. This is going to be tough physically because you're playing so many games. This is hard. 14 games on the road consecutively, even if you do come home for a cup of coffee, I think a couple times on this trip, you're still gone a lot, and that's hard. And once you lose one, then you lose two, and then it snowballs and it's hard. So I'm really worried about this road trip. So that's why I'm so excited about a win at the Mullett.
I am too. I really am too. And I want to go back to another positive, something I forgot to bring up when we were talking about the power play and we were talking about Nick Ritchie. We've already talked about Krause's power play goal. Nick Ritchie obviously getting on the board tonight. He he's been a little bit quieter these last couple of games versus how he was the first few. But here is a real fun stat that Arizona Coyotes PR put out there tonight. I thought this was an interesting group of people. Coyotes to score 4 or more power play goals within the first 9 team games of a season since 1996. Keith Tkachuk, Daniel Briere, and Nick Ritchie. How about that for some company, huh?
Wow. That is good company. And I will say this because I can say it last year with my King Louis prediction. I did happen to say Nick Ritchie might lead this team in scoring. And I tell you what, he beat a goalie clean from the hash marks today.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do in the National Hockey League. It wasn't screen, no tip. He beat him clean. That was off the pipe and in. It was a hell of a shot. It's interesting because I look at the penalty killing of Florida there, and they just left Nick Ritchie all alone. Like, I usually look for that weak side winger to help protect in that slot area when the puck's down low in the corner, and he didn't. He was more concerned with Gostisbehere and what was going on the far weak side, which left Nick Ritchie all alone. And I think it's going to take teams time to figure out what the hell the Coyotes are doing on their power play. Because traditionally you run it through the top, and I don't know if this team runs it through the top with Mosier. They run it from the side with Gostisbehere, and then he picks where they're going from the side. I tell you what, it's a hard power play to read, and I know with 2 power play goals, I tell you what, they're third or better. I have to wait till the newspaper comes out in the morning and read the stats. And it could be better than third.
Caleb said, are we going to install chilled floors in the visitors part of the annex to keep the advantage going?
Brilliant.
Love it.
Keep the visiting teams cold. See, what's wrong with I will throw in one little tidbit before we bring in our partner, because I used to travel around these leagues and these locker rooms. There was one locker room in particular. We'd go into Detroit, and that locker room was hot. Like, it was 100 degrees in there, and you're like, oh my God, Scotty Bowman turned up the heat. Like, we'd always blame Scotty. Like, I'm sure Scotty Bowman didn't really turn up the heat, but we were always blaming them to give them an advantage. It was so hot, it was uncomfortable, and you're sweaty. So maybe that's what the Coyotes need to do here, is turn the chillers on and make every team get dressed on the ice. Brilliant. Love it. Home ice advantage.
Perfect. Love it. Well, let's bring in the Stairmaster of Mullett Arena himself. It's Craig calling in. Craig.
I kind of like that title.
The Stairmaster?
Stairmaster?
Yeah, I think I might run with that for a while.
Love it.
That actually lived. I don't mind that. The Stairmaster.
The Stairmaster, Craig Morgan. Well, Craig, the Coyotes got their first victory at Mullett Arena. What was the reaction of Coach Tourney and the players you spoke to?
Well, he was kind of funny. He was like, well, your goalie stops 41 pucks. You shut down a really good power play, and you get 2 power play goals. That's a good recipe. Maybe we can repeat it a few times. Karel Vejmelka was unbelievable tonight, and that's where it all starts, right? Because without that, you don't have a chance in this game. But you're not going to get outshot by that many and get a lot of wins unless you get elite goaltending. But man, this power play, I know I heard you talking about it, Petey, but good Lord. Good Lord, what are we looking at here? When you think of elite power plays, of course, you think of the Colorado Avalanche, the Edmonton Oilers, and the Arizona Coyotes.
Exactly. But for sure you did.
As we all predicted before the season.
Sure.
Predicted it.
Did anybody put money on that? Yeah, did you put money on that at DK? Should have.
Yeah, we missed that one.
Yeah. No.
Who
else did you get a chance to talk to, Craig?
We got Nick Ritchie and we got Veg. Veg was just happy tonight. You know, he's still mastering the language, but he's much better actually this season. Just happy. I mean, you see guys diving in front of pucks in front of them. You always want to see that, of course.
Travis Boyd, by the way.
Travis.
Yeah, what a play he made in the third period.
Yep.
Blocking the shot and then making a stick check to get that puck down. That was phenomenal. The way they defended that net front when the empty net was on and it was all hands on deck, it was unbelievable around that blue paint. Tkachuk just misses one, but everybody was in on board on this one. I know Vejmelka made some great saves, but I tell you what, it was a real team effort down that end of the third period.
Yeah, and when you look at these 3 games, look, I know they're getting outshot. We're going to expect that, right, with this team this season, but they've been competitive in all 3 games, guys. This was basically a 1-goal game, so all these games are 1-goal games. That's the recipe, right? That's what you want to see from the Coyotes. Get a win every once in a while, play tight games, play competitive, keep that culture going, and get in position to draft Connor Bedard. Did I say that? Yeah. Shouldn't say that after their first win at Mullett, but let's be honest.
We already brought it up, Craig. Don't worry.
Yeah, this is what you want to see. This is exactly what you want to see. Competitive hockey. I'll say this as well, and I had mentioned to you guys earlier, I was a little concerned about what the crowd might look like. And about 25 minutes before the game, I was really concerned about what the crowd
You were
might look like.
having me concerned with your texts about it.
It was pretty empty at that point, but then it filled in. It really filled in, and I was like, okay, it's a good crowd again. Here we go. Tuesday night against Florida. That's fine.
I want to note from watching on TV about the crowd is, obviously the other night, like there's a ton of Rangers fans in Arizona, but there's not a ton of Florida Panthers fans in Arizona. This was a loud building on TV, and you heard the Let's Go Coyotes chants, you heard the howling, you could hear that on TV. The energy really translates, and I really felt like it was more like that Friday night crowd of, Go Coyotes energy.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw the comments, by the way, of Matthew Tkachuk after the morning skate. He's like, it's already 100 times better than Glendale.
Wow.
Like, okay. Wow. So that was an interesting take. Visiting players' reaction to this place has been interesting so far because, with all the prep that we did, and we're probably as guilty as anyone because we actually got the video out of the visiting dressing rooms, not with any intent like that, of course, but you saw all the media reaction, and now the players come in, they're like, yeah, it's fine. And the ice is unbelievable. Everybody loves the ice in this place.
Yeah, just wait till the locker rooms open up. Wait till the annex open up,
and
one more game. First-class NHL facilities right next door. I mean, I agree with Leah. Watching it on TV this is the first time it almost had almost a little bit of a playoff vibe or a rivalry vibe because you could hear the excitement in the crowd, and that makes the players play more intense. You just feel it through the TV, and I think that's something you didn't see in Glendale, other than the playoffs. And so that third period was incredibly exciting to watch on TV, and that's what we want from this team. This is exactly what we wanted them to deliver. Some really good individual performances, a great game, and the goaltending stand on its head. It was great. It was fun to watch, and now they get to do it all over again in 48 hours.
Yep. Before we dive into more with Craig, I just want to read 2 comments. One is Scott said, more likes needed, 82 watching. If you're watching right now, hit that like button on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, come on over to YouTube, hop in our chat. And then Steven said, hello, everyone, especially the cool people on the light rail watching. Hello to the people on the light rail watching.
The light rail watching. Wow.
People are taking the light rail because the arena's in Tempe.
Because you can. Because you can. There's actually public transit here. It was supposed to go to Glendale as well. In fact, the voters approved it, but then the city council said, no, we're not going to do that. We don't really care about you citizens. So there's no public transit in Glendale, but there is here in Tempe. Just saying.
Just saying. Sorry, this is not the Trash Glendale episode of this podcast.
Well,
I promise.
Maybe just from me then. Okay.
There's some great people in Glendale who are Coyotes fans.
There are great people in Glendale. I wasn't talking about the citizens.
Do you know, Craig, this team is 1 win behind the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Colorado Avalanche?
I bet they passed a bunch of people tonight, right?
Petey read off the list.
Yeah, I read the list.
Unbelievable.
What's happening in that all-important Sharks-Ducks game, by the way, guys?
Oh, yeah, we should check in on that. Oh, my goodness. It's 5-5 with 4 seconds left.
What a game.
5-5.
That's perfect.
Overtime.
You need it to be a 3-point game. That's what I was saying.
Let's go.
To Patrick Brown in the first period. That's perfect.
Let's go. All right.
3-point game.
Well, let's get back on track here. Craig, today on GoPHNX.com, you published a story about Dylan Guenther, about what he's done so far this season. And that was before tonight when he got another assist to equal 6 points in 8 games so far. Or that's wrong. 7 games. No, 8 games. 8 games. He has 1 more game on that 9-game trial. And in your story, you broke down a little bit, you dove in a little bit deeper into Dylan Guenther and the case for him to stay and the case for him to go. So, Craig, I'm going to put you on the spot. Where do you stand now?
God, I don't know. Listen, we've talked about how he's played, lesser minutes, shelter minutes. 4 of his 6 points are on the power play. I should point that out. So you want to see what he does 5-on-5, right? I think to me that's a big litmus test for him. I remember in the last game he took a big hit, and I looked at it. I was cringing a little bit because it just looked like he got crushed. He came back from it. I worry about the physical side of it. Again, all the things that we've said before. We've talked about this guys so much. Is it good for him to be in this environment? Does it make any sense to burn the first year of his ELC for this season? What's the gain here? And I know we've talked a little bit about the Oil Kings being a really bad team. I made a couple calls up there actually today, and I was basically told Dylan Guenther's not going to play a single game for the Oil Kings if he goes back to the WHL. They will trade him immediately. They are looking to rebuild. They want a high draft pick. They'll trade him to a contender. That's the way they're looking at it. So if you're worried about him playing for the Oil Kings, not going to happen. I don't even know if he'll play a game. He'll get to a contender. He'll have all the opportunities that he would normally have going back to junior to compete for a league championship, maybe to compete for a Memorial Cup. So it's a balancing act here. And you saw Bill Armstrong's comments too. It's just they're gonna go to the very last second. They're gonna take every possible moment they can to evaluate this situation. I guess my gut is still the same that it was at the start of the season. I just don't get burning this season for what the Coyotes are going to do this year.
Yeah, it's funny because I think that's what it comes down to for me too. And I said at the very beginning from training camp, they got to send him back, got to send him back, got to send him back. And now, Schmaltz gets hurt. He's healthy scratch in the first game. Schmaltz gets hurt, and now everything changes. If he's not putting up the points that he's putting up right now, and he's got 2 points or 1 point, or he's like Barrett Heaton struggling to get 8 point right now, then you go, yeah, he's going home. He's got to go home. He's got to go back to the Western League, and he's got to play juniors this year. But right now, for a team that really lacks an offensive, prowess, gosh, I'm not sure anymore. And I'm the one that was at the highest mountain screaming, send him back. I still believe you have to overbake. I'm not sure. And I see where Bill Armstrong's sitting there looking at this going, well, maybe we can develop him here. Maybe this isn't a bad atmosphere to be in, and he can learn on the fly and learn on the job and get these points. And you know what? Ultimately, this team needs some offense. So maybe right now it's a solid maybe, but then what happens when Nick Schmaltz come back? Because he's going to come back. And then you go, okay, where does Dylan Guenther fit now? Is he a fourth line player? No, he's not a fourth line player. What's that going to do for his game? So I think if Schmaltz is not hurt, this discussion's not happening, and he's already on his way back or headed back after the 9th game. But because Schmaltz is gone, you're looking for that offense, and he's playing higher in the lineup. And all of those things will change when Schmaltz returns. So Bill Armstrong's got a really tough job ahead of him. Gosh, I don't know. I know the fans would love to see him stay.
Yeah. Petey, one more thing, Leah. When I think about the guys where this has been an issue in the past, right, with a guy like Dylan Strome or even with Barrett Hayton that 1 year where they elected to keep him, probably shouldn't have. I don't remember a guy, and again, he's not playing a lot of minutes. He's playing a lot of power. He's getting his production on the power play by and large, but I don't remember a player being even this productive when they were trying to make that decision before. Petey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can correct me. But
no, you're right. I don't recall that either, Craig. I don't recall the numbers being put up that he's putting up right now. I just don't. And I think that's what's making this so difficult, is because he is adding to the offense. And particularly he's helping out a power play we've already said it. It's toward the top of the National Hockey League. And Guenther's been a part of that.
Yep.
It would be hard to see him go back for the fan base. I still think right now you're trading off what happens now for what happens 3 years from now. And we're all sitting here in agreement that 3 years from now, this team is going to be a team that's trying to make the playoffs. They're not trying to make the playoffs this year. So how important is it going to be if you burn his year now versus having him on that roster in 3 years without having to do a bridge deal and trying to figure out and renegotiate? I don't know. And that's the way I'm looking at it, the future. But the kid's done everything he's supposed to do. And, to Dylan Guenther, great job, because make this decision as difficult as you possibly can on management and the coaching staff. Make it hard. And the best way to do that is score points.
And that's good for him. And it's only going to serve to build his confidence. And if they do opt to send him down, maybe we're seeing him in a full-time roster spot as soon as next season. Just because he goes down this season doesn't mean we're not going to see him in the Kachina sweater, maybe sooner rather than later if the team decides to start making a competitive push next year. And I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs next year by any means, but just start to get into that winning mentality versus the tanking mentality that we've experienced these last couple seasons. But it is a really tough one. That's why Bill Armstrong gets paid the big bucks to figure it out, because it's a really tough one, but I've seen a lot of comments about Carcone in Tucson, who's been lighting it up. So, you know, you talked about that power play. I don't know if he would slide in there, but if you need offense, he's been doing it in Tucson. Doesn't necessarily means it translates to the NHL, but, you know, it's not for a lack of next men up, if you will.
Yeah, and I do think there's a couple of options in Tucson that they could go that route as a temporary stopgap until Nick Schmaltz comes back. So that is an option. The other thing that you talk to Dylan Guenther, he's such an introspective kid. He really thinks about this. I'm sure you saw some of the comments in the story where he's like, I used to evaluate my game by how many chances I got and what I was doing offensively, but you get here and you realize you need to take a look at a lot of other things. Am I good along the walls? Are we defending way too much when I'm on the ice? All these things that you want to hear as a coach that he's thinking about, he is thinking about and working at. And Andre Tourigny will be the first guy to say it too. He's such a responsible player. He really is working at those areas. He's not a guy who, you know, if he doesn't have the puck or if the puck isn't going one way, he just kind of checks out a little bit. He's focused all the time and he's got an urgency. So that factors into it as well. The kid really is doing all the things that you want him to do at this stage of his career.
And this is going to be the hottest topic on Thursday postgame. It really is. And one of the things, though, is if he does go back, and first of all, if he does, I want the fan base to go, okay, it's okay. It's okay. They thought long and hard on all the positives and negatives, and this is what the organization thought was best for both the player and the team. And I hope, and I think we know this organization well enough, the coaching staff well enough, that you need to sit Dylan Guenther down at a table and sit there and talk to him and make sure he understands exactly what's going on and exactly what you thought of him as a player and think how he's doing, and make sure there's a real open line of communication. Because otherwise you could see a player get frustrated and go down in juniors and take a step backwards. And you don't want to see that happen. It's a hard decision, Craig. Right now, Craig, I'm leaning towards, I bet we see him on the road trip. I think he's
really
Kachina Black heading out on the road in a week.
Interesting. I do think the information about him getting traded in the WHL does change my perspective on it a little bit. But honestly, I won't be surprised either way.
Yeah,
I at this point, I am not surprised either way. We've really laid out the pros and cons, and people in the chat seem to be pretty split. It seems like the fan base is pretty split, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the coaching staff and Bill Armstrong, and they're going to do what they think is best. And, you know, that's their jobs to figure it out. So we'll obviously dive more into that when it happens. If you want to read Craig's story, though, which I highly recommend doing because he talks to a ton of people in it, check that out at gophnx.com. Sign up to become a member to have access to that. You can also grab a shirt from the PHNX locker when you sign up for an annual membership. Members also get benefits of joining the Discord as well as getting first access to our events. And we have an event coming up this Friday. For those here who are Suns fans as well, we're doing a PHNX Suns takeover this Friday, November 4th at the Ainsworth across from the Footprint Center. You get a ticket to the game against the Trailblazers, 2 free beers, and all-you-can-eat buffet. There's going to be giveaways and much more. There are fewer than 20 tickets left, so act quick. You can check the link in our description to grab yours today. That is an unbelievable deal for all of that. Dang.
To a team off to a fast start too. So
yeah,
good
they're in win now mode. So if you want to see a team in win now mode, check that event out for sure. And if you, after you go to that game for $75 and all of that, which those tickets came from Game Time, by the way, check out Game Time. I tweeted it out yesterday. There were $34 tickets for this game today. I think when I last checked, there were $60-something tickets for Thursday's game. The Coyotes are going on a 14-game road trip. They're not going to be here for a very long time. If you want to see them before they go, if you want to see Mullett Arena, Thursday's your last chance. I'm pulling it up right now. $83 on Thursday, so really not bad. Under $100. There's nothing else right now under $100 for Coyotes. So check that out on Thursday on the Game Time app. You can save up to 60% on tickets when you buy last minute. And if you use the link in our description, it helps us out immensely and helps you out, obviously, by getting you a great deal on tickets. Well, speaking of Thursday, Wedgie is returning. It's the return of the wedge. Excited
I was waiting for somebody. I was waiting for you to sing it.
No.
I'm saying
I
what?
tried.
Is there a song that we know?
Return of the Mac. Return of the Mac. So I thought Leah was going to bust
No.
into that, but not happening apparently. Yeah. So, but we'll have him on our podcast as well. Wedgie
There
is
you
coming on the
go.
podcast. There it is.
Yep, he will be on our show. It's an audio episode that will be dropping later tomorrow. So definitely be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and keep for alerts on that one. Scott Wedgwood will be joining us and we'll catch up with him, see how he's doing. Dallas obviously is having a great start to their year. So really looking forward to catching up with Scott Wedgwood.
Yeah, he had a good game tonight too. He played very well, and with Ottinger out, it sounds like he's going to get the start here as well. So it could be Wedgie versus Veggie.
Wedgie versus Veggie.
Wow.
Wait, what do you think they're going to do, Craig? Should we start guessing Coyotes goaltending starters? Because you know
It's
how
got to be
good I
Veggie
am
after
at
a
that?
win, right? It's got to be Veggie after a win.
But we
especially
said that.
after the way
I don't know.
They went Veggie, Ingram, Veggie, and now Veggie wins. He goes back.
Yeah, I'm thinking Veggie's in goal.
You're thinking Veggie?
Come on, we need a veggie wedgie matchup.
We
Yeah,
do
I
need a
agree.
Veggie Wedgie matchup.
Veggie matchup.
I would feel cheated. Andre would cheat us if he didn't make that happen. So
Yep. Fair enough.
Craig, a couple other questions for you. One, Zack Kassian was announced to be out right before the game. He's day-to-day with a lower body injury. Do you have any clarity on that? Do you know when it happened or just have any further information?
no, because he wasn't out there, so I don't know. And when we talked to Andre earlier, he said no lineup changes, so something must have happened in those hours. Well, all we know right now is lower body injury, but we'll be at practice tomorrow. And you know who'll be at practice with me tomorrow, Leah? That guy.
Petey?
Yeah, there's
That guy
a
right there.
rumor. There's a rumor
Yeah.
I'm going to the Coyotes practice tomorrow.
Petey, are you going to film the
Oh, boy.
60-second practice update?
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
going to
know.
do it
We'll
from
see.
a really tight shot too, right up against
Perfect.
the camera.
Perfect.
Yeah.
He always mocks me, right?
I do.
Perfect.
I know.
Something like this, Petey. Hey, how about this?
I know. It's easy to make fun of you until I do it myself, Craig. I get it. Yes, I'm going to the ice den with Craig tomorrow. We've got some
Everybody's
Love it.
stuff
excited.
planned. How about some stuff planned? Can I just? We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. We're not going to tell people what we're working on because we
I don't
want
even
to-
know. I feel really in the dark right
Oh,
now.
Yeah, well, it's a secret. It's a state secret.
Wow. Well, Craig, also, there's been a few questions from a couple different people. Any update on Jakob Chychrun?
Who?
Just no. He had a setback with the wrist. We've already said that. I don't think he's not coming back very soon. But I will tell you this: that I heard definitively, he's got to play. We've been saying this all along, but if a deal's going to go through, he's got to play first. No deal's going to happen. So all the talk about, things are heating up again. No, they're not.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. Until Jakob Chychrun gets on the ice, there's not going to be any kind of trade, and you're going to have to see him for a few games. You're going to need a body of work before you can assess what he can bring. It may even take him a little time to round into shape because he hasn't played in so long. So I don't know how long this is going to take. It maybe to the new year, to be honest, before anything starts happening. Maybe we'll go to the trade deadline. I don't know how it's shaping up, but nothing is heating up on Jakob Chychrun right now.
Ducks just won in the shootout. So
There
that's
it is.
good. That's
There you
a
go.
great bonus because
I
they
wonder-
were at the bottom with the Coyotes. So
Keep
2
pace.
wins. Yep.
You talk about Jakob Chychrun, and I'll just leave this in a second, but we talked about the Coyotes power play a lot tonight and how well they're playing and how they're top of the leagues. Where does Jakob Chychrun fit in there? You know, they got 2 defensemen on the power play, which they haven't done in years. They have one traditionally with 4 forwards, but they've got 2 now, and neither one of them is Jakob Chychrun.
Yep. And yet, if you want to trade Jakob Chychrun, you have to showcase Jakob Chychrun.
Wow.
He needs to be in important minutes. So
Interesting.
that's an interesting question. Yes.
All right. Well, there's your updates on those players. Craig, do you want to stick around or do you want to go? I'm giving you the opt-in, opt-out
Did you get
option.
the option?
Oh, I'm out. I'm bailing. I'm bailing.
He's going to take his nice,
taking the
quick
option.
drive home. No longer an hour.
Yeah, I'm already sore that I missed Taco Tuesday. So
Oh, man. All right. Well, Craig, any other thoughts from you before you head out?
no,
for
just
your
looking
quick
forward to
drive home?
practice tomorrow with Petey.
Yeah, please text me on what time and where. I mean, I
Oh,
know
buddy.
where. I know where, because I used to actually work there, but tell me when and all that.
Yeah.
Just text me in the
Petey,
morning.
Petey and I are teaming up on a story. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be a good one. I'm looking
kind of
forward.
nervous
It
about
is
it,
going to
Craig.
be a good one.
A little
Petey-
bit nervous about it.
Petey, you're asking all the questions, okay? I'm just going to stand there. I'm going to be a passenger.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about it. I got to
Oh
do
my
some more research
goodness.
tonight now.
All right,
I'm ready.
guys.
All right.
Text me tomorrow,
Bye,
Craig.
Craig.
Bye, guys.
Travel safe. You getting on the light rail now, Craig? Big
No,
Gilbert?
no light rail for me. Going to take the
Yeah.
scooter home.
Yeah, perfect. Not a sponsor. I just saw blatantly asinine said reverse retros on Thursday. Completely forgot about that. That will be
wow.
really cool to see.
The Desert Sienna.
Either in person or on TV. But tonight, of course, was Hockey Fights Cancer Night. And we
Yeah.
do want to talk about that because we've unfortunately lost a few people, more than a few people close to the hockey community. I'm sure everybody here, you and I, PD, everyone in the chat knows somebody who has either passed away from cancer or knows somebody who knows someone or knows someone who's battling cancer. It's just so sad and that it affects people young and old. We've lost Leighton Accardo. We've lost Matt Shott. Matt Shott, of course, we actually had on this very game last year, the Hockey Fights Cancer game. Matt Shott was actually a guest on our postgame show a year ago. So it's really heartbreaking to be sitting here today talking about losing him. If you want to go watch that, we put it on our Twitter timeline earlier today, brought that back up. And we also did an entire tribute show to Matt Shott when he passed away as well. So definitely check that out because, the people who knew him best did a really wonderful job honoring him. But something that really, made me emotional tonight was seeing that they're going to hang his number and his name in every hockey rink in Arizona because that's the impact that Matt Shott had on the Arizona hockey community. And I just think, it's so beautiful and wonderful. And if you ever met him, you just knew how much that meant to him.
Yeah, and we talk about boots on the ground with the development of hockey, and he, in cold rinks late at night, early in the morning, just a thankless job that he did, and he really did it for the love of the game. He really did, and he is sorely missed in this organization. He's sorely missed in this state, and anybody that has been in a hockey rink is lesser because he's not in them. It's really sad, and it's important what the Coyotes do with the Hockey Fights Cancer. It really is because, as you said, Leah, everybody that we know was affected by it. So our thoughts go out to everybody that's fighting and struggling right now.
Yep, and also just go get checked. Go to the doctor. Try if you can. Just pay attention to your body. We can't stop cancer from happening, but we can help prevent it from maybe getting worse or catch it before it gets bad. And, I just want to encourage everybody to do that as well. And just to, we send all of our love and support to those battling and send all of our love and support to those who have lost people to cancer. It's just ruthless and ridiculous. And the tribute to Matt Shott tonight was very, very well done and very beautiful. And, I think every time I walk into any Arizona hockey rink, I think of him and I think of Leighton Accardo. So thoughts are with them and their families as well. I don't have anything else to say on that one. PD, do you want to add anything? Just
that was beautiful. You got it.
And if there's any names, by the way, if you're watching live and you want to comment the names of anyone that you're remembering or thinking of, please add them to the comments so we can acknowledge them as well. We will look at the upcoming schedule now. We got a couple more games this week. There have been a lot of games this week. It feels like every other night. Dallas coming up on Thursday, like we mentioned. Scott Wedgwood on the show tomorrow on Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. And then back on the road. If Craig wants me to sing on the road again.
Yes. It's tough because they get up after the game Thursday night, then they get up Friday and they got to get on a plane, and that's a long flight to Washington.
That's a long flight. It's not, it's not the Midwest, it's the East Coast.
And the other thing that happens when they're there is the time zones change. And so
I forgot about daylight savings.
Yeah, it's usually like when you're traveling that far and you're looking at a 3-hour time zone difference, it's incredibly difficult to adjust. And I know making excuses for professional athletes, but I remember that there was a thought that you go out 2 days early so you can acclimate, because when you get up Saturday morning and you need to be on the ice at 11, that's going to be 8 o'clock soon. It's going to be 8 o'clock in the morning Phoenix time. That means you're up at 5. these guys don't get up at 5 a.m. So it's going to be that first game out on the East Coast is incredibly difficult. So that's Saturday game, and then you're going up against Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah, that's going to be a tough game. That's going to
Yeah.
be tough, and then it doesn't get better because they go to Sean's hometown and the team that is now the newest wagon. And Tage Thompson is simply in fuego with 6 points the other night, and they got to head into Buffalo. This is a tough trip. This is a really, really, really hard trip, and they're going to play the first 5, and then they're going to fly home for a couple days before they head out to Vegas for the second stretch of this trip. But this is tough. This is tough. So enjoy this last game at the Mullett because, gosh, we won't see him at home for a month. Oh,
That's
boy.
unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Well, lucky for us, we have 4 Peaks to watch games and enjoy some beers. We have a ton of awesome events at 4 Peaks all the time, but we're really excited to be teaming up with them to host all of the US and Mexico World Cup matches at their 8th Street pub. You can enjoy beer specials, giveaways, guest appearances, and more. Check the link in our show notes to register for free. You must be 21 or older and to enjoy responsibly. By the way, I love when people tweet about drinking 4 Peaks and tag us. It brings me a lot of joy. Someone saw a pumpkin porter at Walmart. Like when we say wherever you buy your beer, literally wherever you buy your beer. Wherever you buy your beer. So check that out. And, these have been some exciting games, but if you want to make them even more exciting, if you want to be invested in football, if you want to be invested in the World Series, if you're not, I would highly recommend checking out Underdog Fantasy. You can play the pick'em game and pick players higher or lowers. You can just string a bunch together. It's actually super, super fun to do. You can also do daily fantasy on there. I've had a lot of fun doing that this year. And right now, if you use the promo code PHNX when you sign up, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. So take up that offer today. You can search in the App Store or click on the link in our show notes to download Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code PHNX, and get in on the action today. The Watts, I just want to read these comments. The Watts said, lost my uncle Jim to cancer. I'm so sorry for your loss. And Charles said, lost my grandfather Randy to cancer in 2008. I'm so sorry for both of your losses. Thank you so much for sharing, and we're thinking of them tonight as well. I do want to get to this. This is kind of the moment we've all been waiting for. It's the punch card. It's the
punch card
VooDoo magic. Look at that. Like, are you kidding?
2-1-2-1. Let's go. And I tell you what, when Sean DePaz was looking at his DraftKings Sportsbook app today, he looked at the punch card first and said VooDoo magic. And
he was in. That was
there it is. Look at how creative he is with the punches, too.
I know. Yeah. So haphazard. I love it.
Really,
but
really
like in the best way.
In the best way. Yeah. So this is, I tell you what, we last year we were always trying to connect 4.
I know. This is more fun.
How about those 3 wins? There is no way coming into this season, absolutely zero, that I would have said they would get 3 wins in their first 9 games. There's no chance.
Nope.
Wow. How about that? So good on them. It's been a really good start. I know that you look at those first 4 where they gave up 6 and maybe not, but I tell you what,
water under the bridge.
This is a competitive team now, and if they can keep that power play rolling and keep Washington off the power play, because that's another team that's just an absolute wagon on the power play. So you never know. Never say never. They play well in that building. It's another building that they play well in, and I don't know if that means a win, but it gets them to get that game to overtime or keep it tight.
Yep.
You never know.
Well, we'll see what happens going forward, but for tonight, it was fun. It was fun to get a win at Mullett, the first Coyotes win at Mullett Arena. Good to see, some strong performances from Karel Vejmelka, from Lawson Crouse, from Nick Ritchie, and see maybe what's going to happen with Dylan Guenther. We might look back on this as, just his great 9 games or the beginning of an amazing career. So lots and lots of exciting stuff ahead. We really appreciate everybody for joining us here, whether you're watching live, watching later, listening later. Please like, subscribe, leave reviews, do all of it. Super helpful for us. And also, wherever you get your podcast, subscribe, because we have audio-only episodes like the one with Scott Wedgwood dropping tomorrow. So stay tuned for that one as well. Please follow PHNX Sports across all social platforms because there's tons of great content there, as well as PHNX_Coyotes on Twitter. And you can follow each of us on Twitter at Leah Merrill, at S Peters Hockey. You can follow Craig at Craig S Morgan, and you can follow Sean at Sean_DePaz. Thank you all again for tuning in to our post-game show. Audio with Scott Wedgwood tomorrow. Back again post-game on Thursday for Reverse Retro Night, the last of 4 games at Mullett for a month and a half pretty much. So tune in then. But until then, everybody, enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll see you later this week.